Hey guys, and welcome to another one of my #1 Sentai Gozyuger episode commentary and reviews. This time, episode 6, The Final Battle, The Great Adventure of Tokonatsu Castle. And just a little reminder, if you do enjoy these videos and you do like what you see, please remember to like and subscribe. It means a hell of a lot. And anyway, let's get into the episode. The episode opens with Tono watering some plants on the Tiger Sword. Apparently he's lost his job again and he's living on the Tiger Sword because there's no rent. Of course, Ryuji finds him and tells him to stop disrespecting the Tiger Sword and threatens to throw a van at Tono before dragging him off to the cafe. When they get in, they see a news broadcast where the Prime Minister has actually been forced to resign because his sword is in violation of weapons laws. Before one of the bad guy grunts turns up with a letter, and with a bing bong, he's gone. Opening up the letter, it becomes a giant hovering video screen where Mr. Shining Knife and Mrs. Sweetcake introduce them to their newest ally, the former Prime Minister. He announces to the Gozyugers that he's decided to join forces with the No.1s and he's going to take over in order to get all the rings. And he recommends that the 5 of them come to a location that he's decided and hand over their rings, calling it Death Sunshine, before the invitation turns back into a bit of paper and falls to the ground. As Tono picks up the card, says he's on, and now he's his prey. As you see, the PM put the Bukenja ring into his silver Tiger Sword and create an adventure castle. As the Gozyugers cross the bridge, they all agree that there's going to be no complaints over who grabs the ring before they hear Tokonatsu announce from inside that they're obviously not going to give up their rings, so they'll be faced with some epic challenges before they can face him. Entering the castle, they find the first sign. There's Trial 1, Tag, catch all the Aries. And some doors open to some of the grunts just messing around. Before Tono transforms into Goju Wolf and starts to tag them. Before he's joined by Kinjiro, who comments that his powers make him feel like he's flying, to which Sumino mentions that he is, and he joins in and they tag the lot of them, passing the first trial. The next trial's announced, and it's dodgeball. In the No.1 world, Fire Candle's complaining about letting the former PM join them, and he's told that the former PM's competent and there's no reason not to use him. If he gets in the way, they'll just kick him to the curb. Although, while it's not to Fire Candle's liking, he decides he's going to join in the little game. Asking Bouquet to fix up his King Chandler, she tells him it's not happening because she's too busy with her altar to Rikuo. She is seriously obsessed right now. At the dodgeball game, it looks like Sumino's already out before Ryuji gets the ball, throws it in the air and transforms into Goju Tirano. And using his super strength, fires the ball into 2 of the opposing team, causing the other 3 to instantly wave white flags and surrender. And the other Gozyugers stand together and say they really don't want to annoy him. Coming to the third trial, it's Playhouse, Prove how serious you are. As the doors open, and they find a table with some trays on with costumes and some plastic food. So, putting on their costumes, Rikuo becomes dad, Kinjiro becomes grandpa, Ryuji becomes mum, as Tono and Sumino become the kids, much to Tono's distaste at the whole thing. As everyone gets into character, Rikuo and Ryuji start flirting, as Ryuji even just taps Rikuo and sends him flying out the door before he comes back in, as the kids complain about seeing their parents flirting. As Ryuji tries to encourage Tono to get more into character and call him mum, they hear a noise outside, and it's Fire Candle calling them out. As the Rangers race outside, Tokonatsu comes in and says he saw the whole thing, and Tono didn't pass. But he knows why. Dressing up in the mother costume, he offers Tono some Hamburg steaks, causing him to flash back to his own mum. Tono calls him Kachan, and Tokonatsu thinks he's playing along now, calling him mum. And he goes, no, you reminded me of my mum. Which gets Tokonatsu to get more into it and try and get Tono to open up to him. And until he does, they will continue playing house. When he finally agrees to sit down, he talks about his family, saying he'd had a normal family. But one day, playing with his brother, they're in the woods, and somehow they'd wandered somewhere else. And they actually ended up in No.1 world, along with a bunch of other people. While there, he lost his brother and another person that he came to meet. And after 10 years, he finally found his way back. And finding his parents, he found that he actually had 2 more siblings, because his family had moved on. Hearing Tokonatsu laughing, he says it's not funny, but Tokonatsu turns around and there's tears streaming down his face, saying he understands. Because from when he was little, his talents had an effect on everyone, and everyone would look up to him, but he never had a friend. And that's all he wanted. Which is why he's done the challenges of playing house, tag, dodgeball, because he never got to do that. And pulling out a sink, he starts to wash up one of the plastic plates, saying about what he and Tono have in common, and hands him a plate. As Tono accepts the plate, picks up a dishcloth, and starts to dry. Hearing a blast from outside, the 4 Gozyugers are sent flying. The Fire Candle calls out saying, "Where's Goju Wolf?" Because he's the one that he wants to beat. As Tono and Tokonatsu both come out together. And Tokonatsu says that his heart has changed, and because of the truth of his feelings, he's going to fight alongside Tono as they both transform. As the 2 sides go back into battle, Mr. Shining Knife and Miss Sweet Cake come in, and she's all upset because he's changed sides. So Mr. Shining Knife says he'll do something to make her smile again, and they grow to giant size. And Goju Unicorn says she's the one that's going to deal with it, pulling the Tiger Sword and forming Tiger Sword Black, with the unicorn's horn being the sword and the back legs being a shield. Getting in a good strike, she pushes Mr. Shining Knife and Mr. Sweet Cake back, but they call forth the Sweet Cake Colosseum as she starts being attacked by knives, so first being able to deflect them with her shield before she starts getting hit. But a handle starts glowing in her cockpit, which as she pulls it, Her shield unfolds, sticks itself onto the Tiger Sword's backside, and it becomes a Tiger Centaur. Charging around the inside, it launches itself up, and she uses Unicorn Drill Attack, seemingly destroying Mr. Shining Knife and Mrs. Sweetcake, as the cake disintegrates. With Tono and Tokonatsu teaming up together to fight, they're up against Fire Candle and his lead soldier, as Tokonatsu summons his origami friends to launch an attack against the pair, but Fire Candle burns them all. Before Tono comes in, attacks, pins Fire Candle to let Tokonatsu jump over, and they continue attacking together until they ready their finish. And together, they launch Finger Attack and Momotaro Slash. Realising he's beaten, he says third time's the charm, and he's going to go down next time. Before retreating into the circle of the sword, that then dissolves. As Tono says the fight's just beginning, Tokonatsu agrees and says yes, as long as the two of us are ring warriors. So Tono walks forward and says, "Your wish? I'll grant it." As the two of them face off, with the other Gozyugers watching on. Pair stands facing each other until, signalled by a flock of birds leaving a tree, the two charges each other with a single slash. Before explosions appear on Tokonatsu, and its winner, Goju Wolf. Before Tokonatsu's Tiger Sword is destroyed, and Tono Wolf gets the Don Momotaro ring, the Time Ranger ring, the Jetman ring, and the Bukenja ring. And approaching former PM, Tono says that he will now be his #1 best friend. As they take each other's hands, and Tokonatsu gives him a big hug, saying there's not long till the next election. And as he runs off, Tono says he might be having second thoughts, as Mr. Shining Knife and Mr. Sweetcake reform. Much to Samino's amazement, saying she's sure she destroyed them. And as they fire a blast, she covers herself, but it's blocked by Daijujin. Much to everyone's surprise, there's a cloaked Daijujin piloted by a Tyranno Ranger. As the episode ends. Okay, I want to start at the end. When I saw what saved Samino there, as the Tiger Sword sort of like tries to cover itself, and then something blocks it, and then out of the smoke you get Daijujin. If anyone's wondering, I haven't decapitated Megazords. This is actually from the Fanhome build. I'm still waiting on more parts. My February package, as of the 30th of March, still has not arrived. So, yeah, I'm waiting so I can keep building it. But that's neither here nor there. Seeing Daijujin, for people who got into Sentai through Power Rangers, is probably the most iconic one for some of us. I grew up knowing Power Rangers. I watched Power Rangers through MMPR, Zeo, and part of Turbo, where I just gave up on it. It wasn't good for me. It was a combination of Justin and just the way the show was going. Trying to be serious, but yet at the same time, a level of cheese that was just, too ripe. And I never really went back. It was only like when I was in hospital a few years ago that a friend of mine lent me his Shout Factory DVDs of Ninja Sentai Kaka Ranger, and I started watching it and I'm like, oh my god, this is brilliant. And as you can see there, I bought all the Shout Factory DVDs. I love them. And that's when this collection started. Take a Sword should be arriving tomorrow as I record this. So, yes. However, I'll probably only be having the red because the price to get any of the other ones, I know I said last week I love the green one. The price to get any of the others is ridiculous. I don't know if that's just because of the import, if it's that expensive in Japan as well. But yeah, I'll be sticking with just Take a Sword Red, but at least I'll have one. But yeah, seeing Daijujin come in at the end and being piloted by Tyranno Red, it makes me wonder because Daijujin is one of the ones, and if I can find the clip, I'll put it there, where it's Daijujin was destroyed in the final war, or whatever it was called, where the Tiger Sword first appeared. They gave the power to the Tiger Sword, and that's where the rings come from and all the rest of it. So, where's this Daijujin come from? Aside from the fact that Daijujin was the combined form of the Guardian Beast, and it was a god. You know, Daijujin is its own thing. It's not just a robot. It's like the Ginga beasts. They are all living spirits as well. As were the Die Ranger ones. I'm not sure too much about the Kaka Ranger, but I know the Die Ranger, they were all living spirits. King Oja was living spirits. Don Brothers was the actual Sentai team in robot form, so that doesn't really count. The Shurikenja ones, they were their own little creatures as well. So many like Sentai Mecha were like, you know, sentient. So who knows where this Daijujin has come from? Although I gotta say, from what I saw of it, it looks better than the Daijujin they used in that battle. This one looks just like the original. The other one had sort of like more stylized horns or something. I remember it just looks off. It looked different. But yeah. As a whole, really enjoyed the episode. It was a good episode. It felt short, which is usually the sign of a good episode because, you know, if you're really enjoying it, then, you know, the episode doesn't feel that long. If it's a boring episode, which, you know, we got to be honest, you know, no series is perfect. Occasionally you do have the odd dull episode. They feel a bit longer. This one felt very short. It was good. It was well written. You know, the plot, the pace of it just went through so quickly. You had some good humour with the whole, yeah, we don't want to like piss off Ryuji. And it's like, yeah, I've been trying not to. And it's just been good. And we finally get the backstory that I was talking about last week for Tono, saying about his family and all the rest of it. That's been hinted at since, I think, episode 3. I think it was episode 3 when Kinjiro first turned up, possibly 4. So yeah, we're finally getting these answers. So obviously we've still got the Rikuo and Tamino past question mark, but at least we've got some of the answers for Tono. But it does also leave the question of how did they, just from wandering around, wander into No.1 world? And also, how did he survive for 10 years? Obviously, he probably had help from the woman that he eventually said he lost, that, you know, encouraged him to keep going and survive and all the rest of it. But 10 years is a long time. And okay, yes, like when he gets back, it's the whole Robin Williams hook. Oh, yes, so when I flew back to see my mum, she'd already had another kid. She'd moved on. Reminded me of Hook. Absolutely brilliant Robin Williams film. If you haven't seen it, if you have seen it, then you probably agree with me. Really? So, you know, it's reminded me of like a good film as well that I enjoy with that part of it. And I like seeing them like go into these games and be like, yeah, I'm using my powers, I'm transforming. You know, the bad guy, the army guys. I can never remember the name of like those things. Banksia, I think. So I'm just scrolling through, trying to see if I can find the name of the damn things. Here we go. They are. Oh, Aries. Aries. So the Aries. They're just messing around. You know, different poses and all the rest of it, and yet they still use their powers. And I'm not sure why Ryuji um, felt the need to turn into Goju Tirano for the dodgeball, because we've seen he can pick up a van without transforming, or at least he threatens to pick up the van. But we've seen him, like, you know, do a lot of stuff that needs strength without transforming. So I guess it was just being a bit showy. But again, I still love that, the humour of like suddenly the other Aries having the white flags to wave. Just chef's kiss, chef's kiss. And of course, we hear that Tono has been fired again. So obviously, he's had like one or more jobs since the one at the grocery store that we saw him get fired from. So I was kind of right about it being an ongoing thing through the season. It has been mentioned again, even though we don't see the job, which I think would just get a bit dull seeing him with a different job every time. But mentioning that he's been fired again, he's trying to live out of the Taker sword. That was quite nice. Like, just with the sword being balanced and like having plants, it's like, yeah, I'm trying to be self-sufficient. It's like, yeah, don't demean the Taker sword. That's not what it's for. But yeah, it was a good, fun episode. I really enjoyed the humor and everything else. And oh, I can't wait for episode 7. And speaking of, I'll see you guys with episode 7. Bye.